All right, today we are diving into a 40-year-old document that, believe it or not, is still secretly protecting your digital life. It's called the Orange Book, and it's the story of how we first learned to actually trust our computers.
I mean, think about it for a second. How do you measure something like trust when it comes to a machine? Before you can hand over sensitive secrets to a computer, you have to prove it's secure. But how do you even create a ruler for security? That was the huge challenge facing the US government way back at the dawn of the computing age.
So picture this. It's 1983. We're deep in the Cold War, and the Department of Defense is moving all this critical intelligence onto computers. But this, of course, created a massive new vulnerability. They needed a guarantee, some kind of formal, structured way to evaluate and certify that their computer systems were genuinely trustworthy.
And the answer they came up with was a brand new standard for security. It was a document that would become an absolute legend in the world of cybersecurity, the DoD's Orange Book.
Okay, so here's its official, kind of clunky name, the Trusted Computer System Evaluation Criteria, or TCSEC for short. It was cooked up by the National Computer Security Center, with some help from the NSA, and it was designed to be the definitive yardstick for measuring computer security.
But while TCSEC is the formal title, everybody, and I mean everybody, just called it the Orange Book. And the reason why is actually kind of hilarious. It's because when it was first published, it had a bright orange cover. That's it. It just goes to show you sometimes the most groundbreaking ideas have the simplest backstories.
So how did the Orange Book actually measure trust? Well, it created this brilliant ranking system, sort of a security ladder that every computer system would be judged against.
The easiest way to get it is to think of it like building a fortress. Division D, that's just an open field. These are systems that basically failed the test. Division C, now you've got some basic locks on the doors. You know, individual users can decide who gets a key to their stuff. But Division B, that's a serious upgrade. Now the fortress itself enforces the rules based on security clearances like secret or top secret. And Division A, oh, that's the impenetrable vault, where every single security claim has been mathematically proven to be true.
Now that jump from Division C to B is the real game changer here. Think about it. In a C system, you decide who sees your files. But in a B system, the system is in charge. A user with secret clearance simply cannot, under any circumstances, access a top-secret file. They can't override it. It's a fundamental shift from user-controlled security to system-enforced security. So how do you even build one of these super secure systems? The whole thing hinges on a concept called the Trusted Computing Base, or TCB. This is the absolute heart of the system security. The goal is to keep this core as tiny and as simple as possible because every single little piece inside the TCB has to be rigorously tested and trusted to enforce the rules perfectly, 100% of the time. And this is basically how it all fits together. The security perimeter, that's the fortress wall separating the trusted core from everything else. The reference monitor, think of that as the ultimate gatekeeper, checking every single request to access anything. And the security kernel, that's the guard, the actual hardware and software that carries out the gatekeeper's orders. Nothing gets in or out without passing this trio.
The Orange Book turned out to be so successful that it didn't stay alone for long. It actually inspired a whole library of security standards.
It kicked off what became known as the Rainbow Series. Each new guide tackled a different piece of the security puzzle, and you guessed it, had its own brightly colored cover. The most famous one was probably the Red Book, which took all the core ideas from the Orange Book and applied them to the brand new world of computer networks.
But technology moves fast, right? And as it raced forward, even the entire Rainbow series couldn't keep up. It was time to pass the torch to a new generation of security standards.
For all its genius, the Orange Book had one massive blind spot. It was built for standalone computers. It was a product of a pre-internet world, and it just didn't have much to say about network security, which, as we all know now, became the central challenge of, well, everything.
And this slide shows that evolution perfectly. You start with the Orange Book, a US standard focused mostly on confidentiality, keeping secret secret. Then Europe came out with TCSEC, which added integrity and availability to the mix. And all of that eventually led to what we use today, the Common Criteria, which is this huge international framework for evaluating security in pretty much all IT products.
So even though we don't really use the Orange Book for certifications anymore, its influence is absolutely everywhere. So why does this piece of history still matter so much? Because as one source beautifully puts it, it's the granddaddy of evaluation models. And for good reason. It didn't just create a set of rules. It literally created the language and the concepts we still use to think and talk about building secure systems today.
I mean, that idea of a tiny, hyper-secure core in your operating system, that's the TCB. The different permission levels you set on your files and folders, that's a direct descendant of discretionary and mandatory access control. And the simple idea that we should demand proof, or what we call assurance, that a security product actually does what it claims, that all started with the foundation laid by the Orange Book.
So the next time you log into a secure system or trust your phone with your private data, just take a second to think about that bright orange book from 1983. It was the first to really teach us how to measure trust in a machine, and its legacy is still very much alive, protecting all of us every single day. Thanks for watching.